in my book, the most reliable, the most powerful move in combat sports is the rear naked strangle, rear naked choke. It can be done differently, whether you're attacking the carotids or the windpipe. Standard is the carotids, right? And I think that's the strongest move because you can attack it from a position of like almost zero vulnerability. Because while it can be tiring to attack, when you do get your two hands on someone's neck, you can finish pretty much anyone of any size, of any level. And because from this position, I can attack and re-attack it an endless amount of times without losing position, as long as I'm going back to those back control principles every time I feel like I'm losing my connection. Okay, so traditional way to do it is on the side where the choke's on the bottom. So I'd be on Marky's left side right now. You can do it either side. We'll do it both ways. But first, I'll show you a traditional method. Okay, one, you cover your strangle arm with your other hand. So if somebody takes your other hand off, your strangle arm comes up. Okay, that's one. Two, anytime you see a chin go up, feel a chin go up, feel an extension here, you go for it. You reach as high as you can, as deep as you can. Your elbow goes as deep as you can immediately. Whatever else you're doing, it doesn't matter. If that's available, you take it and you commit to it. That's a great principle to live by, and you get better by doing it. Okay? So anytime it's available. Now, when is it generally available? Well, when we take the seatbelt, as we're coming into the back, we might be able to get our hand up to a certain level, or as they start fighting our hands, we may be able to get our hand up to a certain level. It's very unlikely that you're going to get your hand all the way through around the back of the neck, and you're going to punch your hand, grab your bicep and squeeze. Like, that's going to be very rare. What's going to happen most of the time is that you're going to get a grip somewhere up here around the shoulder, like a claw. Okay? Your partners are going to have their hands on yours, and you're going to be fighting their hands off by peeling the pinky fat and the thumb fat, and by climbing a little. Okay? And you climb a little, and you climb a little, and you're aiming for the back of their neck. And once you get there, you're going to punch behind the wrist. Okay? If you punch here, they're always just going to rip that hand up. So we want that hand hidden. We want it to slide where they can't see it. Okay? And also, we don't want to try to connect while disconnected. If they grab your wrist, they're going to pull that down. So what you actually want to do is punch hidden, cover your hand with your arm. Now try to pull my arm down. Even if I'm not connected, try to pull my arm down. Can't do it. Now I grab my bicep. And now what am I going to do? I'm going to squeeze my elbows together. Okay? Not apart like this. That works for a choke, but if I want to strangle, they go together. And I'm going to rotate my whole body, not elbows apart, elbows together, and project my chest. And I'm going to get a super tight strangle that way. Okay? So let's look at this in the position. I've fallen in position. I was able to get this grip across to the shoulder. Right? His hands come up. I peel and I climb. His hands come up. I peel and I climb. Maybe I had to go here to get his hand. No problem. I peel and I climb. Okay? And when I'm ready, I punch behind. I fold over the top. I grab my bicep. And now I finish. Now, when we do chokes on the underhook side, one of the big issues we have is that if I take this arm out now to fold and cross, because we're on the ground, sometimes our partner slips away. Okay? So often on this side, and we have different ways to mitigate that, but we'll start with this. Often on this side, we use a one-handed strangle. It's not a strangle, it's actually a choke. You can get some carotid for sure, but you're going to get the windpipe on this one as well. So it becomes a choke sometimes. The way this is going to happen on this side is going to be by getting control of this arm so that we can either like come up and just go right under the chin because he lifted his chin, or in most cases, his chin is down like this. So I'm going to use not a ball hand not a flat hand, but like in between. And I'm going to use the sharp part of my thumb, and I'm going to dig under his chin. And I really like to sometimes even use the space in between my knuckles. Like if his jaw is real tight, I'll use the space in between my knuckles to open his jaw and then slip my hand underneath. Okay? Now, if you're saying like, well, how are you controlling this hand and choking with this hand and this hand isn't doing anything? It's because on this side, you almost always have to trap this arm. Okay? So, this is where we see this straight jacket control very often, where I get one hook across the hip, okay? And then I'm gonna switch my grips. Right now I'm controlling this hand. So I'm gonna extend this hand out. He's holding it, and I'm gonna switch it off. And now I'm controlling this hand, and I'm controlling this hand. From here, if my bottom elbow goes up, it's gonna make it hard for him to bring his elbow low, and I'm gonna go knee high, heel over elbow, leg over elbow, and heel to thumb. And now I'm gonna kick that leg down, and I'm gonna cross in an X. You can fold this behind the lower back, but I find flexible people limp arm out of that pretty easily, right? So let me get that arm again. So I prefer to cross and pull my heels into their stomach, and this is actually quite uncomfortable, okay? And now we're gonna 2-on-1 this hand, and now when this hand is nice and low, we're gonna do the knuckle dig. And remember that the key point to digging when they're forcing back is your head. So when my arm is digging, my head is pushing and grinding the other way. And that's getting me in nice and deep. So I'm gonna grip around the back of the shoulders. My elbow's gonna come down into their chest, and I'm gonna rotate the sharp part of my arm in to their carotid or their windpipe, okay? So, lots of ways you can manage to get the two grips, right? Another way is I threaten the choke. He puts his hands up, and I'm able to fold through and grab one arm, or fold through and grab the other, right? Sometimes I go directly for this arm. Sometimes I'm going for this arm first, and when they reach to defend it, I can switch off. Other times, I feel comfortable going straight for this arm. It's up to you. Get that extended. Dig, counter head pressure. Dig, counter head pressure. And then drive that elbow back.